everybody, it's Renee here, and I am bringing you a video today to show you 49th and Market's Vintage Artistry Essentials and their kit. I am going to be making a two-page layout using this fabulous line that has tons of different colors and different products that you can buy, and you can mix and match all of it. It is an amazing line, and we're going to play with one. So these are some of the pages and different embellishments that I'm going to be using to create our two-page layout. So I'm just gonna turn my blind a little bit so we can maybe get, that doesn't work. So sun is starting to slowly go down, so hopefully our lighting will be fine. But anyways, I am going to use these. I'm going to cut off the bottoms. Always keep these bottoms to your papers, because you can always use these in your products, or sorry, in your projects. The other thing I wanted to tell you about too is with a lot of these, not all, but most, if it has the strip down here, this usually tends to be what's on the other side. So you can see that there. That's what's on this side. So in this one, might not necessarily be that because there's writing. This is actually the package of the paper pack, but it tends to be normally what's on the other side. So if you see that in the stores and you see a bottom little lip and it says what's on the other side, basically says what's on the bottom, that usually is what's on the other side. So if you flip it, you tend to see that on the other side. So I am going to start off with cutting off the bottom part of our paper. I don't tend to do 12 by 12s anymore. I used to all the time, and then I kind of got away from it. I am just going to, and this is what I tend to like to do, I like to put my embellishments that I'm going to use in a container. This is a little bit long, I'll set that there, and have them so they're ready to go. And I find it helps a lot when you're actually coming to create and find what you want to do. They're kind of all in one little place and kind of put away for you. So with this one, I have some awesome rub-ons. We're going to use some of these. This is for an upcoming road trip that I have with my hubby, and I'm going to use those. I have some of these amazing, you can get a package of these, and they're some cool frames, and they're actually stitched, so I don't know if you can see that, but they're stitched frames. They're pretty neat. And then this is like a die cut frame, so we can use those. I am going to, this is out of the 6x8 pack. I'm going to cut out these cards, and I'll probably use this one, and I might even circle punch it because I have a circle punch that size. I'm using these for matting. And then we have this awesome package of 49th and Market. It's the Wishing Bubbles and Trinkets. They're very cool. It's 47 epoxy coated sticker embellishments, so we will be using that as well. And I've got a title and all that kind of good stuff. So what I decided to do is I'm going to use this blue page as our, oh, that didn't go all the way through. Let's do this again. I'm going to use this blue page for our second page. 49th and Market also has very thick paper, so it's very good quality, good paper. So this is going to be our first page. This is going to be our second page. And I am going to be adding a few different elements. I am going to be adding some modeling paste with a stencil just to kind of get a little bit of stuff in there. So I'm not going to be adding a whole lot of mixed media because I know not everybody uses mixed media. And I am going to be adding a few different little flowers and doodads and whatnot. So we will be doing that, and a title. So I am going to speed this up at times, so if I'm not talking, chances are it's sped up just to get the project going along. And once again, if you ever have any questions about any of my projects that I create, any of these creations, you can always email me at createandplaywithrenee@gmail.com, or just post your question in the comments and I will respond to you there. I am going to, like I said before, I'm going to put the pictures in later. I will be putting that there, and I am going to also be using some white cardstock. So that is also another thing. First thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to trim up this 6x8 sheet. And with a lot of these pages, because they are so thick, I don't tend to usually like to do a ton of layering. I layer a lot, but I don't tend to do a lot with these kinds because the papers are already so thick themselves. So it really adds a lot of thickness to it. Okay, so in here, I'm going to grab just some white cardstock, and you could use it any size. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out the insert on this photo frame, or this film strip, I should say. And we're just going to set the inserts aside. When doing this, when you're going to add your pictures later, it's always best, and this is what I tend to do, when you put on your 3D foam adhesive, I usually don't tack down many places because you need to put your picture still underneath, and you can always put the adhesive on later. So I will show you what I'm talking about when we get to that point, but I just wanted to make that clear in case you're wondering what the heck is going on. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to tack down just one side. I'm going to tack down the one side so it adheres. I can cut it, and then like I said before, that will be adhered once we get our pictures on. So we're going to do that right now. So what I'm using is the Zig 2-way glue, and I really like that tip. This is the tip I usually tend to use. There's also a ballpoint one, but I don't usually use that one. I can honestly say I'm not a fan of the ballpoint one, but and I buy these in bulk load, so I have many of them. So we're going to put this on here. Hopefully you can see everything I'm doing, and adhere it with just a little bit of a lip. Okay, so that works exactly how I wanted it to. So I'm going to set that there, and now we are going to trim this up. And I am using the flat side. I'm not using the textured side of our white cardstock. I can honestly say I'm not a huge fan of the textured side, but I'm going to trim this up a little bit too. And you'll notice in our little film strip here, there's a couple of little squares that I didn't pop out, but on the side, the edge, but that's okay, because some of those are going to be covered with embellishments anyway. So now we're going to cut off the bottom. All right, so we'll put that there. Normally what I like to tend to do is put white cardstock on the outside or in the inside, so it's not just always color. But I'm not going to do that today. We're going to use these colors because they're such vibrant, beautiful colors, and I don't really want to mess that up. Okay, so I'm going to put this, I think, like that. And I'm going to have one big mat here. And I'm going to round some of our corners, I believe. But we could use either this one for our big picture, or we can use this other one, which is a die cut. And I will show you that. This one. So I kind of like the look of this one. We can maybe do that, and then we have this outside edge around with this. So I am going to just start adhering things, and I'm also going to trim and do photo corners on my papers. So I'm going to start that now. So I was just getting ready to start my next segment and realized that my camera had turned off. So anyways, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this before I move on to the next step. I had made a pocket, just putting some SOOKWANG along the three edges right here. And we will put some pictures or tags or whatever in there. Added a little journaling box down here, and I 3-dimensional squared, foam squared that. This was one of these cards. one of these cards that I cut out, and I used my 2.5-inch circle punch and turned it into a circle. So that is that page. So you're not wondering what the heck am I doing, because I completely missed a step. But the camera did turn off. So we are going to move on to the next step, which is adding our modeling paste. And it kind of adds a little bit of depth to the page, and I kind of like it. You don't have to do it if you're not into the mixed media and it's not really your thing. Don't worry about doing it. Personally, I kind of like it, so that's the only reason I'm adding it myself. But again, if it's not your thing, don't worry about it. So I'm going to add some numbers right in this area, and part of it is like I love this, but I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. And how I'm going to do that, I'm going to use modeling paste, and then I'm going to use some distress crayons and color in the numbers. So we're going to grab our modeling paste, and I use the Finnabar Art Basics modeling paste, the opaque matte, and we're just going to put that on there and rub it on. I use a hotel card. You can use a palette knife. You can use anything really that has some flex to it, so you can do it like this. There's lots of different things you can use. Hotel cards are nice because then you can use it. It's not getting trashed and garbaged, and it has a second purpose. So that's one reason I like it. So we're going to do that. We're going to wait for that to dry. I'm just going to lift it. Sorry, I really do apologize. I should have done this earlier in the day, but it's still early in the day and we already have that. So I'm going to lift this so you can see the numbers are there. And we're just going to wait for that to dry. So I'm going to pull that aside, and we are going to go back to this page. And there are a lot of different things you could put in here. So like I said, whether it's like receipts from your trip or whatever you might come across, you could even put more pictures in there, you know, little journaling sentiments. It's totally up to you. I am going to show you this pack here that I think is really cool. It's the Vintage Artistry Travel Anywhere Rub-On Transfers, and it includes 6 individual sheets of rub-on transfers. So we're going to open that up. And I love rub-ons. Rub-ons are amazing. You know, when they came out with them in, well, for scrapbooking, the first time I remember using them was probably in the mid 2000s, or actually early 2000s. And I remember using Making Memories, which isn't around anymore, but using Making Memories, and I loved them. They were so much fun. And then another line I really liked that came out with them was Basic Gray. So between those two companies, I used a lot of rub-ons. All right, so we're going to use some of these cool things, these awesome things. And what I like to do, and not everybody does this, I like to cut mine out. You do get this little plastic piece to actually, and it's not a bad piece, to put your rub-ons down, but I have a tool, and I'm going to show you that tool, and I don't know if you can. This is the Basic Gray tool, and it's great for putting your rub-ons on. I know you can get Basic Gray magnets, so you might still be able to get this, even though I don't believe Basic Gray is even around anymore. So I'm going to grab out our scissors. And I am going to cut out some of the sentiments we want. It is very important, in my opinion, to cut them out because you can make mistakes and somehow burnish in other words or pieces of rub-ons onto your project, which you really don't want to do. So the best thing to do is to cut them out. Some of the sayings in this one are wander, travel, drive, paradise, and discover. I'm going to do drive since it is a road trip. So I will save the other ones for later. And again, just carefully cut it out. Add some of the coloring that you want. This one has some dots, so it's almost like you did some drip dots. It's kind of neat. You can come back and add that later. So I'm going to show you how this works. So we're going to fold that off and peel it off. I am going to actually cut out some of these dots. You have to be careful, it's kind of hard to do them because they're kind of everywhere. We're going to put those on after. But for this, I am going to, actually, you know what? I'm going to put it on our envelope. So I stuck that down. It has a little bit of a stick to it, so it should be easy to pop it on there. And then you just burnish it with that stick they gave you. Popsicle sticks even work. I'm using this tool. It just has a ball at the end. I'm going to tell you right now, this table is a really good table, but a lot of the times with rub-ons, if you're using those plastic white tables, and you can buy them at Costco and Staples and whatnot, it's very hard to do a rub-on, to burnish it down on your page using those tables. So you might have to have a different flat surface, or like a travel mat, or go to a wooden area, because they have some bounce back. So I've tried rub-ons in those tables before and it didn't really work. So I'll show you this, and with these you can always pull it up a little bit. Here's one case, this dot didn't stick down. If it doesn't stick down, you can put it back over, just do it slowly. And there you go. So there is our rub-on. And you can put some here, you can put some here, it's totally up to you. I myself am going to do mine here, I believe, or should I do it here? You know what, actually I'm going to cut it. And you can do that too, just be careful. So I'm going to put that side on there, and then this side over here. So you got that stick. Again, burnish it in. Lift. Voila. And then we'll do the other side. Make sure you got it the right way, or else it won't make sense. And you could have done this before you stuck your circle down, but I can also do it after, so that's okay. Just reach underneath and burnish it in. And sometimes with rub-ons too, it's easy because you can see where they lift up, so you know that it's tacked down. Just trying to get my fingernail under there. There we go. So that's all tacked down. Liking the look of it so far. All right, so we have that. So that's all we're gonna do for the rub-ons, other than this other one I'd already pulled off. We'll see how our other sheet is doing with our modeling paste, and we'll go from there. Hopefully that works. Changed my curtains, so hopefully you can still see okay. That's not so bad. Okay, so this is slightly still tacky. So I'm just gonna let that dry for a minute. And what we're gonna do while we're waiting is we are going to find what kind of colors of distress crayons we want to use. So we can take a little bit of a look. We can work on the pinks or the greens or the blues. I don't really want to do the yellow, but with this, you just have to kind of figure out what kind of colors go. So I'm going to pull this back a little bit, so we can see what kind of colors we want to use. I really like the corally color. Use this little piece here, and I'm going to put a little bit of color. You know, because we have so much blue, I'm gonna try with the pink first, with the band and coral. So hopefully you can see that. I'm putting that on the back side. You can use any kind of little plastic piece, but the back side of what was our rub-on. And I'm just going to get my cup of water. So I have my cup of water, and now I am going to get out my paintbrush. Get your paintbrush a little wet. Get a little bit of that pigment on your paintbrush. And I'm just going to lightly, hopefully you can see this, lightly go over the numbers with your paintbrush. So when we put that on there, well, I like the look of that. That looks kind of cool. So we're going to do that, but first what we're going to do is we're going to add some of these in and just see kind of where we want them to go. So when you have a 2-page layout, you want them to sync. So for this one, we want them to coordinate. And I know a lot of people, that's one reason they like to do 1-page layouts, because it's a lot easier to do 1-page layouts and you don't need to really sync them. With this one, because I tend to normally, when I do 2-page layouts, have one big picture and a bunch of little pictures, and I guess the bulk load would be on your 2nd page, but the focal picture is on your 1st page. So what I tend to sometimes do is do something like that, but again, you got to be careful because this is going to lift when you put your picture in if you don't have it in already. So you could always tack it down like that, so you could still, and then just go like that. We do have a title here. I'm going to just pull out our little embellishment pieces. It's always best just to play around, find the placement that you like. Sometimes you can take a picture of it so you know you can put it back together that way. And yeah, just play around with it before you tack it down, because you can always probably find a better way to do things. Best Adventure, or you can put that down here. And again, kind of try and work in with the balance thing. Away we go. You want to make sure they sync, but this on its own could be a 1-page layout, and this on its own could be a 1-page layout. So you really have a lot of different options. See, we could do like that, and then tag that in there too. So I might do something like that, if that makes sense. And then we could add some drip dots, and we have these awesome hearts. We can put those on. Plus we have, I just pulled out a few, and these were not from the 49th Market line, but they are some coordinating flowers. So there's options, there's definitely options. So we're gonna do that now. I'm gonna tack it down and show you what I came up with. So here are my finished pages using the 49th Market line. And I absolutely like how they turned out. You could use these as a 2-page layout or 2 1-page layouts, and look how nicely they coordinate like that. With this one, again, we have our adhesive, so you just have to put your picture in there, and this is a 5x7, and then tack that down. And with this one, I added some of these cards. These will not be going in here, but just to give you an idea of what the pocket's like, so you could put whatever in there. You could even put receipts, journaling, whatever you wanted in there, even pictures. You could add a sentiment up here or rub on, whatever you wanted, and your pictures can go in here, and you can print those off and just put some adhesive and tack it back down. You could also add a little journaling in here if you wanted to as well. So you could really do whatever you wanted. I really like working with this line. 49th Market creates a lot of great products that are coordinating. And you know, a lot of this stuff is what seems to be travel themed, but you wouldn't have to use it for travel. You could use it for whatever. So I hope you enjoyed this. I am going to link some other videos that are similar to this right here. Make sure you check out the description below for my links to my Etsy shop, where I have a lot of my creations that I make for sale, and you can check that out. Also check out my Instagram and my Facebook page. And I also have a blog, so I put information that might be interesting to you guys on there as well. And please, 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 if you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out a lot. Hit that subscribe button, and also hit the bell notification so you get my videos as soon as they come out. And I would really appreciate it if you like my videos. If you actually like them, check out all my other videos. I have lots of different content coming. I would love to hear from you and hear even what you would like to see. So that's always helpful as well. So thanks for watching, crafters, and have a fab day.